Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Phil Anthony. I work with ICC as a digital codes specialist. And today we're going to cover the Digital Codes Premium platform. We do have a couple other ICC members here, Daniel Janicek and Jorm Swade. During the time here, they'll help monitoring the chat box. So as we're going through this and you have questions, feel free to go ahead and post those questions in there, and if need be, we'll stop right during the presentation, interrupt me, and we can address those right at the time you have the questions. We'll also try to end with 10 or 15 minutes left, so you can ask other questions that we may not have addressed, and perhaps we'll open up the mics there. So right now everyone's muted, but as we said, as we're going through, feel free to post your questions in there. Have it directed to, I think it goes to the panelists, or if everyone can see them, that's fine as well too. So as we dive in. All right, so I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the I codes, model codes, and the big printed books that they always came in. And what we've done here with the Digital Codes Premium platform is digitize all that content. And what that's going to be able to do is offer a lot more features and the ability to share and collaborate with this content. So we've basically moved past the limitations of having content on paper, and now you're going to be able to access codes everywhere. The information is always up to date, and you'll be able to easily collaborate with your team members and clients. So on this next two slides here, there's a few of the features that we'll dive into a little bit more as we go through the webinar. But the ability, when we use the word Digital Codes Premium, and forgive me in advance if I do abbreviate to DCP going forward, but what that means is the premium is the platform that this content resides on, and therefore is able to offer these features here, like the ability to copy paste, highlight, bookmarking, organizing notes. And once again, the collaborative tools that we have, because you can share this content among your team members and your department. You have the ability to do some quite effective advanced search and easily access all your different titles, chapters, subsections really easily. I will mention here on this slide here that we do have a 14-day free trial that I do encourage everyone to sign up for. It is truly free. There's no credit card required as you register. Just put in your information to create an account, and you'll be able to access that right away. And as you're doing that, we also suggest that you look over and download the apps that we have that are available for Android devices and Apple devices. If you download at the same time, you'll be able to see the functionality, how that works together with web-based platform as well too. The codes that we deliver on this platform can be acquired several different ways. The singles is probably self-explanatory. Those would be single titles like the IBC 2021 or IBC 2018. We also have collections. Using that same example, we'd have a collection of all the 15 I codes that would be available. And then the complete, which we always try to promote first, because that has, I think you saw on the side previously, 600 titles, but just this last month that we've added more. I believe we're up over 730. But the complete will include all those titles that are available within the Digital Codes Premium Complete, which, as if we're using that example of the I codes, for example, there's a collection of the 2021 I codes. When you have complete, you'll have the previous cycles of 2018, 2015, along with all the commentaries, significant changes, and a lot of other content, like we said, up to over 700 titles on there as well. In addition to the ICC content that we have, we do have several content from the standard development organizations. Here's just a few of them that we have here. But as I mentioned, when you get the access to the free trial, you have the ability to go through and search through all the different content and see all the different titles that are available. So here's just a quick example of the different tiers of the singles, collections, and complete. You are able to acquire these licenses. This is for one license. You can be a member of ICC and receive a discount. If you're not a member, that's no problem. You can still acquire that. And actually, if you're going to use this for a team or department of people, only one person would need to be a member to log into the ICC website to get the discount. Other people using the licenses would not necessarily have to be members or required to do that to be able to access the license and the codes. And we also do heavily promote the tiered pricing. So it makes it easier for smaller teams to jump right in there. We aggressively have tiers that have those price breaks where you can get a significant discount. And if you're on the website in the ICC shop, there's a great little calculator in there where you can find the content that you're interested in and input the number of licenses and be able to see the pricing. And always do encourage you to look at the 3-year plan if your jurisdiction or organization is able to do that within your fiscal budgets, because it does offer another significant discount as well too. We'll mention that we do have an enterprise platform, and I'll circle back around to this later if there's specific questions. But I did want to mention this because when we talk about the DCP licenses, licenses can be used by individual users, or you can make one license or a number of licenses, a concurrent group where you can share that among multiple users. For example, if you have 20 people in your department, you could get 5 licenses that 20 people could share and access the platform, but only 5 would be able to access the content and be on the platform simultaneously. So you can have multiple people using a single license. They would just only be able to be on at the same time according to the number of licenses that you acquired. And I do mention this because we have another platform for larger organizations, which instead of using licenses, we would use dedicated seats. So these would be for people who would need full-time access and not, would not be locked out of accessing the content because someone else was using multiple license or the license in your multiple groups before too. So just wanted to make everyone aware of that as I jump into a demo. And I'll just take a quick check here with Jorm. Any questions come through that we can address now?
No, I haven't seen anything come through yet.
Okay, excellent. All right, so as we're on this page here, you can see, and if you're not familiar, this is the codes.iccsafe.org. Some of you may be familiar because this is a site where we do have some titles that are available in a free basic view. So people who may be, individual residential owners or contractors that may not be accessing the codes all the time, they still would be able to look up some of the code sections if they need to in a basic view. This same website would allow you to log in when you do have access. So if you get your 14-day free trial, you would be able to log in here. And as you log in, you'll notice it'll say your name and it'll tell you what access level you have with this icons underneath here. And then this will now, as I mentioned before, give you access to all the premium features that are on the platform, like the copy paste. And like I said, we'll go through and identify those as well too. Also mention the search functionality that we have. And I think I'll start with this first. I'm going to turn it over to Daniel Janisic here to present the search functionality. Normally, I would show you how this works here. And what I'll ask Daniel to do is go ahead and go through the search functionality currently for those users who are now using it. But then also as we have said before, we are always making enhancements to the platform, and we have developed a new comprehensive search that would make it a little bit easier to use and a little bit more easy to identify and find that content. So Daniel, if you're ready, are you able to share your screen? And if not,
I'll just need you to transfer over those controls, after which, I can take the wheel. All right, good afternoon, everybody. As Phil had mentioned, we're constantly looking to improve the experience, the simplicity, and the promotion of the content on Digital Codes, and specifically Digital Codes Premium. What you're looking at now is how the site resides today, which serves up geolocation-based titles for your locale. Depending on your browser, you'll get a pop-up modal asking you for permission to share your geolocation. If you opt in, these titles will be refined to reflect the the titles adopted and enforced in the state where you're currently located. If you opt out, it will serve up the default 21 I codes, which is what you're seeing here on my screen. Hovering over any of these gives the user a number of options. Subscribe to Premium will open up the pricing modal with all the information and the available offerings, as Phil had alluded to earlier, singles, collections, and complete. Because I'm not signed in, the view as basic would give me access to the contents here in read-only format, but a large number of our titles are available in that basic access mentality. And then the version information, full archive versions of all of our titles are available here in digital format online. So as new versions or the vernacular of printing for the physical books, a new printing becomes available, those are digitized and made available. By default, the most recent instance of a title will be served up whenever you access it, but you can always go back and look to see how the content had evolved over time and even identify what those errata or those changes are between versions. And that's what this little icon here is calling out, what those different versions are and being able to see when they were published. And then the big thing here is with the current functionality along the top, the navigation or the search is present right in the top bar across all screens. There's two types of search right now, and this toggle on the right-hand side of the search input field controls the type of results that are being served up to the user. For those that are not signed in, the title search is the default, and what this will do is serve up any suggested title based on your search inputs, and we'll connect you directly with it. So we have the 2018 IBC. If I were to do a more generic IBC, for example, I'm going to see all of the available titles matching that in sequential order. And then clicking on these is going to take me directly into the landing page for that respective title. Additionally, there's a series of categories that we could filter this across in the dropdown, with the default for titles being all titles, which is going to provide the largest scope for finding any titles relevant to that across the entire platform. The flip side is when you sign in, this content search, as a non-signed in user, will let you know this is a part of the premium subscription and that a subscription is required. But once signed in, this toggle will default to the content search. And this is actually going to give you results matching your keyword inside of the text of any of the titles in your premium library. So by default, we can see it updates the logo. It lets me know that I'm in as a premium user. The toggle is moved over to content. I have access to my advanced search, and then I have my dropdowns. This will control the scope of what's being searched. So if we're within a content page, meaning we're looking at a specific title, the default bounds is going to be searching within the active title that you're viewing. Otherwise, the user has the ability to search across any category from this dropdown. The big difference or the big feedback we've heard to this point is in the current implementation, a content search requires the user to select a single category to search across. And you can see then when you type in a term, there are suggested values to guide you to a more specific result set. And so clicking on that will bring you to the content search results page. Comparing and contrasting this against the title search that we had just seen, this is going to give you passages or sections within the content where that term occurs. And the advanced search controls allows you to narrow down the scope of your result set with exact phrase being the default. But if I wanted to open this up to a little bit broader scope, I could do any of these words, which is going to give me section matches that have accessible or means or of or egress, so much wider net as you can imagine. And then all of these words would contain these four, but not necessarily in that sequential order. Additionally, the near search, or what we call the proximity search, will allow you to find sections that have these two words within 50 words of one another. So this is going to return sections that have building within 50 words of the word permit. And I'm going to serve those sections up for you across the scope of what's being searched. And so again, these I had selected the I codes. I have all of my 21 values. The checkboxes allow me to add or remove titles from my scope. And then I can even pull in older versions of the I codes based on my premium access levels. On this page, the breadcrumbs give guidance or direction as to what title these individual results as they're being sourced from, which becomes incredibly valuable as you are searching across multiple titles. You can see residential code, energy conservation, residential again. It's being pulled from different titles, and the breadcrumbs give you access to the chapter, the section, and even the subsection. Clicking on any of these are a valid hyperlink to jump you into the content results where those are at. Likewise, I can click on the section and title here at the top for the same behavior. So it's going to jump me into the chapter view where that exact section resides. Okay. So everything shown there again is the current implementation. Going back to the toggle, the title search is still available for those that are inside of Premium, but the user would need to know to slide that toggle over, at which point the type of search being conducted goes back to the titles as opposed to the results. I'm going to flip now to our staging environment. So this is not live yet. This is an advanced peek of some of the features that the team has been hard at work on. But to share this with the group and ask for some feedback once I had finished this. But the mentality behind is simplicity for the user experience. We had heard from a lot of feedback that the toggle was unintuitive. Users that didn't have an onboarding or a training to recognize its true purpose would have looked right past it. And so those signing in as Premium weren't understanding why the title results weren't immediately coming up and available to them. So what we've actually started doing is what we call a consolidated search. Within the dropdown, it stacks both types of searches in the same results set. So the user doesn't have to choose one or the other. They're able to see both types of results in the same dropdown, and depending on their access, are able to take advantage of either set based on their use case. So again, starting back at the beginning, I am not signed in. So as a basic user visiting the site, what I am seeing here is the existence of the content search, making sure the user understands the benefits of it. It's going to serve up some of the more popular searches that are trending across the site from other premium users. And then it's going to make sure that I'm aware as an end user, there is a free 14-day trial that's available to me to sign up for and to see what this premium difference is all about and really kick the tires and take advantage of it. Underneath that are the popular or the trending titles across the platform. And these will be accessible to jump into any of the title landing pages for the individual users. As I had mentioned, this is a staging environment, so that's where you're going to see some of these content titles that are still under construction or with titles that haven't been uploaded. But when this does get moved to the production environment, all of that will be present. And the idea with these is as you click through, same behavior, this will take you directly to the title landing page so that if there is a basic allowance, the user would be able to open the contents and view all of that again in read-only format. You'll notice this did sign me in. This is because I had signed in from the other tab in production. Our systems are single sign-in. So this picked me up. So I can actually switch here in real time to the premium experience. But I did want to point out, just comparing and contrasting the title landing pages, you'll notice we've made some changes here. The sidebar on the right gives the user a little more insight and guidance as to what titles they have premium for versus what titles they have basic. Gives some actionable items to get them integrated with the feature set. Quick start guide, calling out some of the new enhancements, some of the new features. And then you've all found the webinar today, but for future ones upcoming, we have a nice prominent webinar page that we're going to be adding to Digital Codes. So you can always see the next upcoming webinar as well as accessing the recorded instances of previous webinars. But coming back here along the top, because I'm signed in, because I have premium, you'll notice I have the advanced search button immediately available to me now. And what that's going to do is give me a direct inroad to this content search page. So even before I enter a search term, if I'm a power user and I know I want to narrow down to a specific category, year, or title, I can take advantage of advanced search, come directly to this page, and start filtering my results set appropriately. If I'm like most users, I'm going to click here into the input field and I'm going to enter my search term. And the big difference you will notice is not only is the toggle gone, but so is the drop-down restriction of what we have in production today. So instead of requiring the user to search for contents across a single category, now the user has the ability to find those content results across their entire premium library. And for those that have premium complete, that growing number of titles, as Phil had alluded to earlier, 730 now and growing, that's a large result set that you can take full advantage of for finding the immediate occurrences of the keywords. As a signed in user, even before I touch my keyboard, It's going to serve up the 5 most recent searches that my account has performed across the site. So if there are common searches, or let's say, for example, you're performing a search in the office and you take your laptop, you go out into the field and you want to continue where you had left off, that search term is going to be sitting there waiting for you at the top of the stack without having to retype it. Additionally, the most recently viewed titles, so those you were accessing most frequently, are going to be listed out here at the bottom. And as I type, we can see in real time, it's going to match against this to lead me to a result set that the system thinks is relevant based on my keywords. We have heightened the experience a little bit to use bolding so that the terms that are matching what you've typed are in plain text, and then the difference or the leading terms to lead you to a more specific value are bolded here to allow you to visually differentiate that quickly. I have the option at any point to hit enter, which will conduct the search with means of egress, or if I am typing based on a longer string, it's going to give me some of those recommendations here, mean temperature difference, mean radiant temperature. And when I perform this search, we can see that it is going to return all relevant matches across the entire set of titles in Premium Complete. So this one being a more specific result, it's 65 occurrences. And the benefit is the backend relevance computation is going to serve these up based on what's determined as the best match. So for mean radiant temperature, section 53221 from one of our thermal environment conditions for human occupancy title is deemed the best occurrence for this. As we scroll down, we can see that that is a popular title for this specific term. If I were to go back to means of egress, a more generic term or a more common term like this, you can see that the result set is going to be much larger as opposed to the 65 results. The cap here would be 10,000 results. But again, very large result set being returned in a relatively efficient manner. And we can see here, leveraging the breadcrumbs, that it's a lot of the most recent I codes that are served up to me as the strongest matches. Depending on your use case, if you're searching across all titles, this could be a very, very relevant way to consume these results. The advanced search term still provides access that we had looked at from the production environment today, where the default is still exact phrase, but you have all these words, any of these words, none of these words if you wanted to omit. All these 4 combinations can be used together. So you can say, I want these words, but not this word to get your result set smaller. And then we do still have the near search or the proximity search that's available to users. Additionally, you have facets here on the left-hand side to allow you to rapidly narrow down your result set within specific categories or within specific titles. So if I click on this, for example, as a Premium Complete user, this is going to serve up every category that has content within my Premium library. If I want to search this just across the I codes or just across the commentaries, for example, I can use this checkbox and it will real-time refine the result set. From my 10,000, it's going to filter out anything that's not part of the commentaries, and we can see we drop that all the way down to 4,400, whereas each one of these breadcrumbs is identifying this as being a match from the commentaries. Additionally, I can use these filters to drill down even further. It's the 21 commentaries I care about, and if I want to go all the way down, I can even narrow it to an individual title to get the result set aligned with exactly my use case. And each time we do that, we can see the result set becomes smaller and smaller. Within the searching here, each individual section match also gives you premium tools to take advantage of. This first icon would be the same action as clicking on the header, which will take you to that specific section within the chapter view. So you can see the contents not only of this section, but those that come both before and after it. Copy the section to clipboard becomes really valuable if you are integrating this text with other applications such as permitting softwares where you may need reference to this section. Single click will get you all the text where you can then paste it into the other application. While we're always promoting digital transformation, we do recognize there are cases where a print equivalent is necessary, whether that's a cheat sheet being created for study purposes, whether that's an appendix being provided with a permitting solution. Digital Codes Premium does support printing on a section-by-section basis. It'll generate as a PDF. You can see the full text is here. It is copyrighted in alignment with the fair use rights, but this will allow you to either print or download and have this copy available to you. And then you also have the link sharing. So this can be sent to any other user In order to open this link, it should be called out that if the title doesn't have a basic allowance, the user would have to have premium to see the content. But when serving calls or servicing requests over the phone, this becomes a much more efficient way to share access and ensure that both the requester and the recipient are looking at the same chunk of text to get through to the answer. And last but not least here is bookmarks. So if there's a number of sections that are relevant that you want to circle back to, you have the ability to create a bookmark and classify it with a project tag right here from the search results page. And then last but not least, we talked about the filters to refine your results set, but you do have controls as well based on how many results you want to see per page. So if you want to take advantage of the pagination, you can keep these as smaller result sets. And I'll just show scrolling to the bottom is where you would find the pagination to step through. If you're comfortable with a lot of scrolling, you can actually increase this all the way to 100 results per page. I'll pause there to see if there's any questions just based on everything we had just shown.
No one has asked, posted a question in chat, so
Okay.
we can move
Uh,
forward.
Sounds good. The one other filter I will point out here is the ability to narrow down by type of content. So those familiar with the I codes, the majority is text, but there are a number of tables, of figures, of equations. If you're looking for a value you know resides within a table, you can actually filter your results set to say, just show me tables in the results. And this may be a bad example. Yeah, so we don't have any specific ones within the commentaries, but if we remove that classification, we should be able to see some table results here that are relevant for means of egress. And again, if you know the type of text you're looking for, it's another very useful way to get directly into that content. Figures would be another valuable use case here. That you can see just the graphical elements that occur across the titles as opposed to going through all the sections. And then in addition, the one other thing I wanted to point out with these changes and these enhancements is not only search, but promotion of the breadth of content that's available on digital codes. The name suggests codes being I codes or even the state codes, those titles that are adopted and enforceable for a specific location. But Digital Codes Premium is much more than that. Digital Codes Premium aims to be the one-stop shop for everything you need to know about understanding, applying, and enforcing those code requirements correctly. And so these markers here on the landing page are meant to provide more of that context, that we do have the I codes, the most widely adopted and used model codes across the US. But within those, there's a number of standards that are referenced that are necessary for full picture, full requirements of applying as the code is written. And ICC has been aggressively partnering with SDOs, standards development organizations, to gain access to those contents, digitize and host those alongside the codes here on Digital Codes Premium. And so you have the ability to see all those SDOs that are available, the growing set, and jump into those with a single click where you can see the available titles for each one. The locations gives you a grouping by state as well as by country. So if you're coming here for a specific location, you can jump directly to that state to see what codes are available relevant to that use case. We've got our commentaries here, which includes a description aligned with each individual section on how the code reads and how that's relevant to you. Resources really becomes a valuable area for understanding how the codes are written or how they've evolved over time. Some of the types of titles we've been adding here most recently that we're really excited about are the essentials and the study companions that have previously only been available in print formats through ICC. Those are included now on Digital Codes Premium, along with the significant changes and the revision histories. So all of these provide supplemental context to the codes and applying them correctly. Um, Topics is our opportunity to keep growing the content groupings based on relevant application. So PMG, offsite construction, structural design allow you to jump directly to specific use cases. Publisher is as we continue to expand, bringing in third-party content. Wiley, SEAC, ICBO are a couple of examples there. And then the collections. And this is a growing set of predefined or pre-common titles that are grouped together. And when considering Digital Codes Premium, premium singles allow you to go a la carte where it's title by title, but there is a significant cost savings considered when you select one of our pre-bundled collections and take advantage of that. And one of the common questions we get is when considering a collection, what titles are a part of it or what makes up that collection? And Premium Complete being the highest tier, but it is still a collection at the end of the day. And our new collection landing pages provide a lot more context to make that valuable to the end users what constitutes a collection. So what's nice is Phil had alluded to this title is, or this number, excuse me, is always changing, but we have this now reflected in real time, how many titles are included when we say Premium Complete. So 741 distinct titles within this collection. And right here, we can see each one of those collections listed out. The show more will continue to render more and more as you click on them. But even this, it becomes a very long list very quickly. So the search capabilities here allow a user who's interested in a specific title to verify quickly and easily that that title is in fact a part of this collection. And you can see it does refine here. Scrolling down, Premium Complete specifically has exclusive titles that can only be accessed as a part of the complete collection. So we do list those out here. And then we've got a couple other regions here with the recently added. So you can see as ICC is constantly expanding what the most recent additions are. And while they are few, there are exceptions or exclusions from what's available on digital codes and what's included in Premium Complete. And so we do want to be transparent about that. So we list those out. Most of these, all of these, in fact, are third-party contents. They can be purchased and added onto your premium subscription, but it would be in addition to Premium Complete. And so this allows you to see what those titles are and add those in if desired. And then the last piece is paralleling what we had just looked at on the landing page, our menu functionality, whereas if we go to production, today it's a single find codes option to see everything that's available on the platform. The new design gives a lot more control to drill down to these groupings so that the user can target the text they're interested in and be taken directly there. Standards, for example, eliminating a lot of additional clicks. And then we are spotlighting the premium tool set as well so that the users can take full advantage of all of these rich features that are available inside of Premium. So we are actively testing this feature now. I encourage you to sign up for the premium trial, take advantage of that, and then be on the lookout for communication as it comes up in the near future as we roll out these changes to our production instance. And I'll pause there again and turn it over for any questions, any comments, or any feedback you may have.
No, that was a great overview. Only had one comment come to me, and that was about it seems like drinking from a fire hose. But that's the whole point why we were looking to revise this and make it a little bit easier to use. So let me put it back on my screen here. And Daniel, not to hold you to it, but when do you think this? I'm mentioning this because it looks different than what I've been doing the webinar presentations before, and what I'm going to kind of dive into here. But is there a general timeline on when this will be going into effect?
Very loosely, I can tell you right now we are looking at mid-June, but I can tell you that we are very thoughtful or mindful of the end user experience. We want to make absolutely certain this is ready for prime time before we do roll this out to our audience base. And so that's what we are very strategically testing and dotting all of our I's, crossing all of our T's right now internally.
No, definitely appreciate it. So this group we have here on the webinar today was the first one outside of our internal groups to see this. So please, if you got feedback on that or any way else you use it, I will call out on the side here, on all our websites here, the feedback. Got comments about how you use search or anything else that you come upon as you're doing the free trial, or if you're already a user, if you got thoughts or ideas to improve this. Like I said, one of the advantages, or there's many advantages to having this on a digital platform. One is the ease to adding content and the ability to upgrade the user experience to make it easier to, meet your objectives. So once again, as you're using this, you got something, we love to hear the feedback because your feedback leads back to improving and expanding upon the product that we currently have. As I mentioned, feel free to ask questions. I'll spend another 15 minutes here, or maybe 10 minutes. That was a really in-depth presentation about probably one of our most of the features that you will be using. So I appreciate Daniel doing that. I will jump over because I know I always get questions, follow-up questions. And, once again, if you haven't got my email address, I'll post that. Joram, go ahead and post it in there, my email address. You can contact me directly. But I know we kind of touched upon using concurrent licenses. This is a common question that everyone does have. So as I mentioned, and we'll just use general numbers here. Let's say you have a group of those 20 people and you are the person responsible for ordering it. The codes you could do, let me just pull this up first. This is our regular ICC page where you can log in and go to the shop. So here is an example of, we recommend the Premium Complete to, look at that first because it does have the most content. As you hover over here, it'll show you pricing discount tiers. And if you're logged in, it will show you what that ICC membership price. And the nice thing here is it will calculate the actual price. You can even, once you get to that price break of 5, it'll change the number there. So this is a way, and that if you're the person responsible for ordering, you could order those 5 licenses. Once again, check out the 3-year savings if that's something you can do with your budget. And after you acquire those licenses, you'll get the confirmation that they are in your account, and you as the purchaser would have them in your account only. So your name here, you would sign in. I'll show you this real quickly here. I don't have additional license in mind, but this will give you an overview of the licenses and how many that you have acquired. So in that instance, it'll say that you have 5 Digital Codes Premium Complete licenses. And then you are able to either, assign them to someone else. If you want someone else to have an individual license, where they don't have to share it, you can do that. But then you can also make them concurrent. I'm sorry, there's no results here to show it, but you have the ability to generate a code. All right. And then the next step, select how many licenses. And, if you have multiple different subscriptions, you can do that. And then what, in my example, I did is I would make those 5 licenses one concurrent group. And that concurrent code that I created, I would distribute to those 20 people. Now you, as the purchaser of those licenses, when you come back here, it'll still read your name, but then you will not have any licenses in your account because they're not your personal licenses anymore. You have made them a concurrent group. So you, along with the 19 other people in that group of 20, after you log in, would then come to the concurrent access icon. And when you open that up, that code that you created, you would enter in here. And once you enter it in there and hit submit, this would change and it would say your concurrent group and the code, or the name of the group that you had created. And that person is using one of those 5 concurrent licenses. 4 more people can come in at the same time. The 6th person, since you only have 5 licenses, you would read that all licenses are currently being used. And they would have to log in after someone has already logged off the platform and makes a license available. Now, just for a out of convenience in management, if there is inactivity as someone's logged into one of the concurrent licenses, they'll be logged out after 20 minutes of inactive use. So they're not monopolizing that one license all day long. So I did want to cover that. Jordan, I did see a couple questions pop up since I'm not switching between screens. Anything related to this or where I can go to next?
I think you can proceed. I actually don't see them at the moment, but they might have been direct to you.
Oh, okay. Well, let me check mine then too. Oh, this is a long one. Okay. Dan, you still on?
I am.
All right. More technical of how it's displayed. Has the display of the tables been improved, such as maximum floor area allowances per occupant displays in very tiny text, not very wide chart, and it's not differentiated by sections with the bolder line?
So I actually just responded to that one, but Digital Codes Premium is a responsive web application. So you have all the browser controls allowing you to use Control plus or Control minus to increase or decrease the size of the font that's on the screen. For very wide tables where they would flow off of the screen, we do have a horizontal scroll bar that automatically appears on the screen to ensure that all the contents can be accessed and read easily. The challenge may be when coming to the export. So trying to take all the contents from a table and sending them to a PDF for the non-digital component. That's the case where the font is scaled down to fit on a single page. And so that is something the team is actively working on to improve in case that's what specifically what Kevin was referring to with this question.
Okay. I also have a question here. I know this has actually been a feature request, and I'm not sure the stage of it, but when we're doing project tags, are you able to do the print? I know we can filter, but are you able to print out results from a project tag?
We can print from the sense that it exports to a PDF. So
Yeah.
once you have that PDF on your local machine, you can print it, you can email it as an attachment, you can do whatever you need with it. But yeah, so the drop down at the top of your screen on this page, Phil, allows you to narrow this down to an individual project tag.
Yep.
By default, this will give you every note you have across any title in your premium library. But as you define and leverage your tags for organizational purposes, you can filter to say just pull up notes or tags for that specific value, and the results that will refine accordingly.
Yep. Okay. That was a specific question there. Yeah, I knew that we were able to sort those, but yeah, going through all the different categories, you can do just the demo tag and select those. It'll come up through here. I'm sorry, Daniel. If I have
It will. So using the checkboxes, you can select all, or you can select just a subset from that result. And then that input field right now, which reads as PDF title, allows you to customize the title with whatever you would like. And then the generate PDF button will take everything that's checked from the result set and export that to a PDF for you.
Yep, no, there it was, because before it had said 8 notes. I don't know if I just scrolled too quickly, but yeah, that's what Daniel was saying. I just confirmed there. So I used to have 8 notes here, but if you go through, since I designated demo tags, these are only just using the one with the project tag demo. So short answer to that question, yes, you can sort those out and print them out by there. And then just to show you the reset here, since I do have these notes open, there it goes back to 8. So it includes all the different types of project tags that I have in here. But once again, if I wanted to select all these notes, and this kind of goes into questions, we mentioned the mobile app. You do have the ability to use the mobile app to download the titles. For example, you could have the 2021 IRC on your mobile app. As long as you are connected to data, data connection, Wi-Fi, or through the phone, the cellular service, you can create notes, you can view notes, you can add notes. But once you are out of range of your data, then the ability to see, all the custom features like the highlights and the notes, you're not connected to the platform, so to speak, but you can still download the 2021 IRC, and it's actually a great representation, kind of how you see it here on your mobile device. So you'd still have access to that version if I wanted to take my notes from the 2021 out in the field. You could create that PDF, as a real type of example. Daniel showed you how it creates that PDF. So as you can see here, it did pull all the notes here, formats it real nice. It tells, the authority or where the source was. So it's something you can take with you and use in conjunction, because with the mobile app, you can still have offline access to the content as well. The other great thing, and we're talking about the notes here, is the ability to migrate. Obviously, you're going through different cycles. California is a state that's going through the new cycle now as it's being implemented. And for example, here in the 2021, I have my 8 notes in the IRC. You can migrate those notes when the 2024 comes out. And as you hit the migrate, it's going to spin here for a bit because I don't have the 2024 version, but you have 2 options. You could move all the notes, which would mean they would take them out of the 2021 where they originated from and move them to 2024, or you can keep them in both and it would just clone them and they would remain in both places. We developed the platform to be intelligent enough that if a code section number has changed slightly or moved to a different area, it will attach those into that correct area where it should be based upon where it was before and when you had made the tag. All right, going through real quick, like I said, the summary, I'm going to go through like a power tour here, Joram. So if there's questions here, we'll leave time at 5 minutes at the end. But let me just go through here quickly. Probably the easiest way to find the content, and as we said, we encourage you to get the 14-day free trial. You'll have the menu here to find codes. This will open up the different sections. If you go to, for example, just iCodes as a general example, you can filter those out by the year. If you have jurisdictions on different cycles, nice to see through that you can, leap right in there and narrow down those topics to exactly where you need. One of the reasons people do acquire the complete is because of all the extra content and the titles that they have in there. Commentaries being one of the very popular ones. Once you can sort it by which year. But I did kind of want to show you this. This is a nice feature they have if we were to open up. As you open up the commentary, a couple quick things. The heart here, if you put that as a heart, it will appear down in your favorites menu, which is easy to access both down there and in your desktop. What's the name of it? Drawing a blank. In your dashboard, in your library. But as we go through and you're going into the commentaries, you'll be able to see which sections are actually the code and the commentary. You see right here the diamond. It has the ability to hide the commentary. So if you're familiar with the code or if you want to just shrink it down as you're printing something, this just hid the commentary. But then as you expand it, so you could be filtering through, reviewing each of the sections, and you can expand and take away the commentaries as you feel that you want to display them. The copy paste I did mention at the beginning, so any place that you can highlight, you can Control-C, Control-V this into another document, email, whatever other application you're working with. One of the great benefits, that's probably one of the first things people do like about the Digital Codes Premium platform, the ability to copy and paste. Once again, these were the icons here that allow you to make the notes, create the notes, send the links, and print that as well too. Point out the legend information, which also explains some of the features as well too. Any of the blue text will be changes from the previous editions of the iCodes. There are also state changes, local amendments, a couple other items here. If you do run across, you can always open up legend information to see what each one of those icons are for. At the top of sections, you may see one of these icons, the ES for the evaluation services for products that relate to that particular section, any errata, additional premium materials. And actually, as we developed this, the code development process, we added in content here when people realize that's in there. They're pretty amazed with the content they have in there because for current proposals going through the CDP, it will show you the complete proposal, the proponents, what is being outlined and proposed. In the previous ones, after the hearings are done, there are even videos of the hearings as they were happening for those particular proposals. So a lot of extra features, like we said. When you get on it, delivering it all digitally, you're going to have the ability to have a lot more content, a lot more access, a lot more use of it. Another tip I'll add up before I open up the questions is frequently I get people, well, I'm used to having two books open at the same time. How do I do that here? I got to use the back browser button. This is actually a user tip here. If you hover over the section, you see that hyperlink, it will pop up so you get a quick view of it. What you're also able to do, and people say is convenient, is you could open in a new tab. So it'll appear right there. So as that opens up, you can review what's being stated, what you're reviewing in that new tab without having, closed this one. And as it pops up, and then just like you would do anything else, if you put it in a new window, it will open up there, and then you can hold it side by side. So just to, same way. One of the great things is because this is web-based. Anywhere you have access to a browser, any device you have, you can log on to it, and you'll have all the features, and you're familiar with how you access tabs and whatever application you have. You can do the same thing with this here as well. And then just to show you what I mentioned before, my dashboard, this will allow you to easily see, do the search. We try to make it as easy to access all the different content that you're looking for, and different the screens here. So my library will show you the recently viewed ones if you're looking at the same things frequently. You saw where I posted the favorites before. It's also added right here, so you can jump right to them as well. Manage your project tags. And all these other features here. I think I went through just about everything that we have on each of the menu bars. And we do have a little bit of time for comments. Jorm, if you see anything, go ahead, and I'll check to see if anyone chatted me directly.
There isn't anything coming through at the moment.
Okay. And it looks like anyone going directly to me, the questions have been answered. All right, I'll stay on here a little bit. Like I said, there usually is questions. If this isn't a group that asks questions, I think you guys will be the first one. But so just to kind of summarize, the ability of having this content digitized, it allows Digital Codes Premium Complete to be the solution that will allow your organization to access codes and standards that are always up to date. They can be accessed remotely on mobile devices and will allow you to share custom notes and content and be able to collaborate with team members. And if you got specific questions on how it can be used in your organizations, our team is ready to take calls from you. Let us know your objectives, what type of resources you're working with, and what you're trying to do, and we will build a solution specifically to make your department or organization more effective and use the codes to achieve those objectives. So I do appreciate everyone taking the time here. We do these monthly. We would also like to start having some focused webinars. So once again, at the feedback button, if you're looking to dive a little bit more into, maybe it is setting up the concurrent groups or the licenses, or maybe it is more in the search, or I have a how do I use the mobile device in this particular social situation. We look forward to your feedback and serving you up this content in a way that helps you achieve your objectives. So everyone, thank you for your time. I'll stay on till the top of the hour in case there are objectives, but we will conclude this here and I will turn off the recording. Thank you, everyone.